Hey, Krista.
Hey, Sarah.
We're back for season 2, baby.
Right? Who would have thought we'd be back for another one?
I know. We still have so many things to talk about.
So I guess I'll see you Tuesday?
Hey, Krista.
Hey, girl. Happy to see you again.
Well, no one else can see us, just you and I.
It's true. It makes it awkward if we can't see each other, right?
Yeah, we're just talking to nobody. But I'm talking to you. How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Okay, well, do you want to tell everyone what we're chatting about today?
Today we're going to talk about diet culture. The whole idea of it's a diet, no, it's a lifestyle. It's really talking about restrictive eating and how that is the new norm in our society, and not only for females, but now even for males. Like, we're managing, monitoring, reporting on everything that we're ingesting and judging each other for it. That's pretty light, like, right? Like, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start out with a stat, because, you know, my name is Statista. Approximately 45 million Americans diet each year, spending $33 billion on weight loss products.
Wow.
There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money in diet culture, which is why you see so many fitness coaches on Instagram.
Well, it's everywhere. You're getting bombarded everywhere you look, on TV, on your phone, on billboards, outside, in the stores, everywhere.
Exactly. The average person sees between 3,000 to 5,000 advertisements each day, many of which promote unrealistic beauty standards. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that is so bad.
It's the world that we live in, and sex sells. And even though there's a whole movement of body positivity, and, you know, Lizzo is probably the biggest, I don't want to advocate or ambassador. I don't know what the right word is, but of body acceptance and the modeling world becoming more expansive and inclusive in terms of sizes. But the other side of the coin has become so pervasive and negative that it doesn't feel like we've moved in really a positive direction. In both cases, either you have to be too restrictive or you're failing, or you're letting it go too far to the point that the person is probably too heavy at their size and they have health issues, but we can't say, hey, you need to take care of yourself. So we're somehow
and then TLC, right? And then TLC comes out with these shows like My 600-Pound Life and 1,000-Pound Sisters.
Yes.
It's and I'm sure they have. I'm sure on the flip side they have other shows I just don't know about. But it's just oh my gosh, I know it's good TV, I guess, but no.
A fun story about the girl from My 600-Pound Life, or whatever it's called. She's the one who was she's a single child and her mom's from the South, and she used to be a dancer or something. And it just is that the one where it just chronicles her life, and she always has a boyfriend or something, but she just can't get it right. I forget what her name is.
I think they focus on different people every episode kind of thing for 600-Pound Life.
Okay. Oh, so that's the one where they're trying to die down for surgery or something with the doctor. There's another girl, it's also on TLC, and it's called My Fabulous Life or something. And it centers around one girl.
Yes.
So for work, I was traveling a few years back, and I had to go, I think, which airport was it? I don't want to say it was Cleveland. I feel like it was Philadelphia. I had to have a layover. But I was at the Toronto airport going to take my flight to Philly or something. And who is sitting across from me but said girl from that show? And I
think her name is Whitney.
Yeah, exactly. So I see her, and I don't recognize her at first, being why am I feeling like I know her? But at the same time, I'm I wouldn't know her. How do I not remember her? Because she's very, she has a look, right? It's very specific, and it's how do I not remember her? So then I realized, oh, she's from the show. I'm what is she doing in Toronto? Because then I'm well, why would she be here? She was here for some conference where she was a speaker or something. So, okay, fine. So then, of course, you are trying not to stare at somebody that you've seen on TV that you're seeing in real life. Not that I've never had seen a celebrity in real life before, but I wait to board the plane. She gets to board first because she can, I guess. I go and board afterwards. I'm like the next layer or tier that gets to board. She's sitting in my seat. I had to tell her to get out of my seat. Yeah.
Was she nice?
Yeah, she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But it's just like, you're the only one in the plane. How do you mess up the fact that you're sitting in my seat? And then I was judging. Anyway, it's a pervasive culture, restrictive eating. I would say for me that I wasn't paying attention to like being skinny or being fat when I was young. I don't think it started to like really set in for me until I was like closer to like maybe going into high school, of like comparing myself to other girls, or, you know, puberty is hit. So now I have hips. And in those days I was very much super skinny on top and then incredibly bottom heavy. So then I'm like, I'm not proportioned, have a big butt. My formative years were in the 90s where big butts were not all that anybody talked about. It was not cool to have a big butt. So I think that's kind of where it started, where I was just aware of how I looked.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think when I started high school as well, you look around and you see other people and you see what they're wearing and what they're doing and everything, and you want to be like them. And I remember thinking, I'm big. But then when I look at pictures now,
yeah,
I'm like, no, you weren't.
Right?
You like in your mind, when you're comparing yourself to other people or like the culture back in high school or whatever, you think you're fat, but in reality, you're not. But I remember, like, I looked at pictures recently. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I looked good. But I remember in that moment, I was like, I don't feel
bad.
good.
Yeah. When I look back, I wasn't skinny, but I wasn't fat, but I was definitely bottom heavy. So when I look back, I don't be like, oh yeah, I was so skinny. I was like, yeah, I look different, but I was in an awkward high school phase. In my 20s, I look back and be like, girl, you had it all kinds of wrong. But that's probably when I was in the height of like working out and like watching what I ate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give another stat here, if that's okay. Over 80% of 10-year-olds are afraid of being fat, with body dissatisfaction leading to low self-esteem and eating disorders in adolescents.
10-year-olds?
Yeah, 80% of them.
Like,
and they're not differentiating gender. 10 would be like probably like grade 4.
Oh my gosh.
The 4th grade, yeah.
That's so sad. But also, like, it makes sense if what was your stat earlier? Like, we're getting thousands of ads every day.
Social media.
And they're seeing it too, right? Exactly. We didn't have TikTok. Social media like we do now when we were growing up. So it's completely changed.
And I think it's interesting that they're not being gender specific. So it's on all sides, where there's an ideology or an ideation about having the perfect body depending on what gender you're in. So it's on, I don't want to say both sides because I want to be inclusive. So it's on all sides.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, like the fashion doesn't help when they're coming out with like these like crop tops. You know, like that it just adds fuel to the fire if you're not, confident, or if you don't like feel good in your skin and your body, like, oh, you need to wear a crop top because that's a cool thing to do. It's like, well,
Oh God, I remember being in like 9th and 10th grade and like being obsessive about doing sit-ups, because at that point it was like the thing to try and have abs, or at least have like wear a crop top. What? Like I the amount of sit-ups I used to do then, or like ab exercises, I would never do now. Like never. I'm going to plank and that'll be it. Like I'm never going to do the level that I did in those days. But I think also you're so uncomfortable in your body at that age, right? I remember just being like uncomfortable in my body. I didn't want it to be on display in any way. I had boobs, I had a butt. So like I wasn't fitting the standard of, Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell, or, whoever, like Donna Martin from like 90210 or something, where they're just like, they're flat in the front, they're flat in the back. They just look like a pencil and straight hair. So everything was just like not fitting what the norm was. But also when you're hitting puberty, you get these stretch marks from growing. So then you're just like, my skin is not perfect. I don't want to show anything. So like a crop top, what? I don't want to show that.
Yeah.
And in those days, like both boys and girls would zero in on everything that was wrong about you, right? Being like, oh, you have a mustache. Oh, look, you have a stretch mark on your side. It was just like, ugh. Even I'm getting stressed talking.
Can you imagine? Right. But can you imagine how bad it is now because of social media and being online and everything like that? It's probably like 10 times worse. That's why 10-year-olds
Yeah. It's
are having these thoughts.
Hypersexualized.
Oh
I remember looking at like my brother's significantly older than me, like almost like a decade older. So he grew up where when they were in high school, people in high school looked like they were old. And then my generation we were in high school, we still look like children. And now it's come full circle where you look at the picture of you when you're 13, 14, you look like a kid. You see a 13 or 14-year-old on like TikTok and you're like, how does she know how to contour already? And have like all this makeup on or like eyelashes or like hypersexualized.
Yeah. That's literally what I think though. I'm like, How did you like do that with your makeup? Like, I don't even have that product.
Why do you feel like you need to? You're 14.
Valid. True.
So let's kind of like switch gears slightly because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole and like I feel like I'm getting a little bit of PTSD. But I think a lot of the times when they talk about diets, and I touched on this at the beginning when I was introducing the episode, that you're hiding the restrictive eating under the moniker of it's a lifestyle change. I'm going to make a lifestyle change. But the reality is you're not going to live this lifestyle forever in some capacity if it's something very specific. And if it's restrictive, so you're going to restrict calories until you die, or you're going to potentially develop some disordered eating. I know I definitely had that struggle in my 20s of where it's like, if you keep restricting, you're just going to keep losing more and more weight. But then eventually your body will be like, no, we're not going to do this. I'm going to shut down your body till you can get your shit together. Research shows that about 95% of diets fail, with most people regaining lost weight within 1 to 5 years.
It's tough to maintain, especially if you're doing an intense diet like that. Like you can't sustain it. And I think that you only have one life to live and do what you want, but in moderation. Mm-hmm. Don't go crazy and try to have a balanced diet. That's how kind of I live my life, and watch what you eat. And, that like, food pyramid back in like school, and you're like, you need this many grains, you need this many vegetables. Like try to like have that in your mind when you're like planning things out, because I've never really gone on like a quote unquote diet, but I watch what I eat.
I think also it has to do with how you live at home, right? And your access to things. I would say my mom probably gave me a lot of my disordered eating habits. I wouldn't say that she had an eating disorder, but I did definitely inherit her restrictive eating style, because she'd be like, oh, I never was on a diet because I was walking 40,000 steps a day. All these parents always have like be hiking, right? As part of their job.
Yeah.
Just like, and I would only eat like a Mars bar for the day or something. So it was always like these weird things that she would say where I'm like, oh, well, obviously I'm eating too much. I need to like eat less. And then she used to, we used to eat a lot of junk food. Like, I guess she felt guilt because she worked kind of like shifts and she wasn't always around. So her way of like showing love was to like buy a lot of treats. My dad used to be like, you're buying too much junk food for these kids. They can't have junk food. I remember one Halloween, he took away our Halloween candy. Because we weren't like, we're just eating it as we wanted, right? Like it wasn't being rationed. And he's like, these kids are eating too much junk food. I'm going to take away their candy. And it was like, that's cool. But eventually he forgot that he took away the candy. So it didn't matter because I just got back into the candy anyway. He just like had it somewhere in his nightstand and I was able to grab it back.
Nice.
But it starts at home is basically what I'm trying to say. We didn't get to eat dinner together every day. And I think having the lifestyle is like having a routine where you're kind of bringing in habits that are encouraging like a positive mindset and not something that you're kind of doing as a punishment to yourself or something where you're abstaining from something.
Yeah. In a previous episode, we've talked about, having family dinners or dinners together, every night is really beneficial for kids. And I try to do that in my household every night. And, toddlers are tricky because they're quite picky.
Yeah.
But I try to obviously I want him to eat everything on his plate, but sometimes they just don't. So I really watch what I say in front of him because I don't want him to be like, have any issues in his future.
Right.
So
I mean, life is already hard.
I do watch what I say. Exactly. But I definitely encourage him to at least try anything.
That's
just
cool.
Try it to test it. If you don't like it, that's fine. At least you tried it. But it's hard. It's hard.
So is it safe to say, Sarah, that you cook at home?
Yeah. At least 5 to 6 times a week.
I think that's great. And I think that would be something I consider a lifestyle. Is that unless you have a plan or you're meeting up with somebody for an occasion, that you cook at home every day. Now, let's take me. You're a mom of 2. You're living in the suburbs, right? That makes sense. You cook every day. Single girl in the city. I don't live in New York City, but I live downtown. I currently don't cook every day. I did on and off for years. I did during the first bit of COVID, but based on like my current lifestyle and me not always being at home, I stopped. So then you move into like bad eating habits of like ordering takeout all the time and doing stuff like that, where now you're falling out of your good habits. You're adopting an unhealthy lifestyle. So what I do now, and I'm still not 100% perfect at it yet, is that I will subscribe to like a meal delivery service where I get like 2 meals a day delivered. They're already prepped. I just got to heat them up, have a balanced ratio of like protein, carbohydrates, whatever.
Nice.
And then it's fulfilling like a healthy eating lifestyle for me and not completely breaking my bank. And then I don't have rotted vegetables in my fridge.
And I think that's great. And I actually wanted to try that. There's a ton of different services out there that like deliver like fresh ingredients and like tell you exactly what to do. Like I'd love to try that out. I think that's great. And honestly, I think it's hard to cook for one.
It is.
Like when I'm cooking for other people, then I'm like, okay, I need like, especially my kids, like I need to make a veggie. I need to do this. I need to do that. But if it's for me, I'm like, nah, I don't need that. So I give you like kudos for even like cooking for yourself. Cause I think
thanks.
I would just talk myself out of it.
Well, I used to like meal prep and stuff like that. The problem is always in cooking for one is that you have too many leftovers. There's very few recipes that are for one person, at least ones that I would eat. So that gets really boring really quickly if like I have to cook something. Like it's cheaper for me to buy a whole chicken, right? But then I cook a chicken. What am I eating for 5 or 6 days? A chicken? I don't want that.
Chicken for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, like ugh. So so I'm in a phase right now. Maybe I will get back into it, but I'm just not cooking because I can't deal with like eating the same thing over and over again. So meal delivery allows variety for me.
Yeah, no, and I think that's great. So when you're not doing your meal kit delivery service, do you do like takeout or do you do like the other apps like the Uber Eats or the whatever they are?
I don't know what the other ones are. I used to think do DoorDash at one point, but I don't. I'm probably Uber Eats just because it's the easiest, and I use Uber. There's probably other ones that offer better benefits, but it's just easy. I know how to do it. I don't want to learn something new. Yeah. What I've never tried is like HelloFresh or Chef's Plate, where they send you the ingredients and the recipe and you put it all together as a meal and cook it. I've never done that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, like HelloFresh, good food. Yeah. That's what I want to try. I think that's good. Do it. Tell me how it is.
I won't do that. Most of those recipes usually involve cheese, and I hate cheese, so I would never like if I'm going to all that effort, then I might as well just like pick what I want to eat and get groceries. My sister has done it, I think, once or twice, and she said it was good. So, and they're a family of 4.
Gotcha. So I have a question for you. So if you're not doing like a takeout from a restaurant, or you're not doing like a meal kit thingy, do you go to the grocery store and get your food?
No, because I'm doing meal delivery. So they already prepared the meals for me.
Okay. When was the last time you've been to a grocery store?
How dare you? When was the last time I went to a grocery store? Okay. So technically, the last time I went to the grocery store was a couple weeks ago by accident. So I didn't actually like do anything.
Weeks ago?
Yeah, but I didn't buy anything because I'd burned my hand. Remember? I had burned my hand very badly, and I had the allergic reaction in my hand, swole to two times its regular size. So I'd gone into Shoppers Drug Mart to buy some Benadryl and some Polysporin. And then I was trying to get out of the building, and I thought I could go upstairs and walk out because the Shoppers Drug Mart was like below ground level, or at least that's what I thought. And then I ended up in Loblaws, and then I couldn't get out. So
you didn't just like peruse and like walk around the aisles?
No, because this is before work. I was supposed to be at work.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Fine.
So yeah, that's when I was in a grocery store last by accident. Other than that, it's been a few months that I've been in a grocery store. Yeah.
Oh God, it's been like a few hours for me.
I don't like the grocery store. I don't like it. And
I find it like
when I did cook at home, I did go to the grocery store then either. I would have my groceries delivered.
Okay.
However,
that's expensive though.
No, it was $10. And then I had a membership, so it actually was less than that of like, you know, if I'm getting groceries delivered every 2 weeks or whatever, it would be $50 for like 3 months or something. So like that would pay itself off. That's girl math. When we worked together though, I would go to the grocery store sometimes to go to the salad bar or get like food there.
Okay. Yeah. That's good.
It's not like I have no concept of the grocery store.
Don't you miss? Like, I just like sometimes like to walk through the aisle, see what's on sale, grab whatever's on sale that I know I'm going to need eventually. Just like save myself some money, girl math, and just like walk around. I hit up different grocery stores because they have different products and different things. Krista's like shaking her head at me. Like, this is like the most ridiculous thing she's ever heard of.
I mean, I could argue and say single people don't think about prices, but there's lots of other single women I know that actually do that, what you're doing, like go to different grocery stores for different prices, different products. No, I don't. I have no concept and never had any concept of how much things cost. Like, I don't know. I've lived my life as a rich person from a grocery perspective. No clue.
Okay. I'll take pictures of things next time I'm at a grocery store and send it to you.
Please don't. Like, you don't try and ruin my day. Like, I'm living a happy life because I don't go in the grocery store.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's different because I need to make sure that I have snacks for my kids at all times. Like fruit. They love their fruit and their berries, which is can be expensive at some point. So like I always need to have food in the house, not just for me, just for the kids.
I just Instacart that. I just get someone to pick it up and bring it.
Like all I think of is like cha-ching. That's all I think of.
Yeah, but and valid. It is cha-ching. And I'm not saying I do it every day, but I'm helping the economy, number one, keeping people employed. And I'm not spending.
You tell yourself that.
I'm not spending it on. I don't buy like luxury items, right? Like I could buy brand, very high end purses at this point in my life, but I don't because I don't have an interest. So I'm going to spend my money for somebody to deliver the stuff to my door. Just makes it easy.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we've talked enough about that. We could go on and on.
Yeah. The idea is to just create a routine that involves some balance. So going to the grocery store is great. If like gas isn't too expensive, walking to the grocery store is even better. Culturally, in parts of the world, they don't do what we do here and go like every week or every 2 weeks to like do a bulk buy. It's part of their everyday life. Like I'm going to go buy bread at the bakery every day. I'm going to go buy what I need for dinner that night. That's probably not conducive to our lifestyle because it's so busy and there's a lack of like work-life balance. But ideally, that's what you want. You want to incorporate those kind of healthy habits and not be focused so much on, I think, the end result. So then the restrictive eating comes into play. It's more like, let's get some positive reinforcing habits into our routine so that we can feel better about our activities and what we're doing. Because also the whole cycle of restricting and binging permanently damages your body, and you don't want to do that either. The flip side to that, when we talk about metabolism, is that you can start to like damage your metabolism to the point that you start like gaining weight. And as women, we struggle with weight at different points in our lives for different reasons. One could be metabolic damage. Another can be like postpartum related, right? Where a lot of women struggle to lose baby weight after the first baby, but with every subsequent baby, it becomes harder for them to lose weight. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that is actually true, but I imagine that you're not paying attention to like putting yourself on this like meal plan and exercise plan after you have your first baby. Maybe you can try and figure it out. But by the time the second baby rolls around, it's just like you don't even have time for yourself. You become last, right?
It's true. I can definitely say that. Like when you look at yourself in the mirror after having 2+ kids, you really don't see yourself, and it's really tough.
Yeah.
And you have to buy different clothes because your pre-pregnancy clothes don't fit you. You have to, it's tough.
It is a bit of a mind F to not recognize yourself anymore because you're so tied to how you look. So like from a body image perspective or just feeling comfortable in your body, it has so many other effects that you just can't think about, like not fitting into your clothes. Like also, like, what if you don't have money for new clothes? Like,
totally. And also, like, you're, the first 6 months, let's say, you're exhausted. So you're going to grab the quickest snack or quickest food and shove it in your mouth because that's all the time you have.
Or you're eating what the kid didn't eat.
Right. Like some people are superheroes and like will work out when the kid's napping or will like, prep meals and things like that. And that's great. And I wish I were you, but I'm not. And I will grab like the odd thing like here and there around the kitchen because I'm like starving. So I'm like, oh my God, I haven't ate in like X amount of hours.
Yeah.
And that's why, people potentially gain weight too after having a baby because they're just you're not focused on yourself.
And your hormones aren't regulated, right? Your hormones are all over the place too, which play a role in your metabolism.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. It's a roller coaster ride.
That's amazing. God bless you for bringing 2 lives into the world because I'm not interested in getting on that ride at all. Like parallelograms, there needs to be a bigger focus on health management, I think, or I don't know, wellness management. Like there needs to be more, maybe it's part of science, I don't really know, of just what a healthy eating looks like, what maybe psychological behaviors look like, or something.
But like a realistic version, not this like bullshit, fluffy, in a perfect world situation, like a realistic day-to-day person working 9 to 5, maybe has a family, maybe doesn't, maybe have kids, maybe doesn't, like a realistic point of view.
And for a realistic age, like in school, yes, I remember the food pyramid.
Right.
But I remember being like, I don't eat like that at home. So I'm not going to talk about it because I'm going to feel like, oh, like, I don't know what these grains are, number one. Like, what is this? Like people who come from families that have cultural differences food wise, like the food period made literally no sense. It's like, I don't see a mango on there. Like, what is this? Like apple, banana, pear, like it's not inclusive enough.
Yeah, no, true. And you know what I remember seeing when I was young, specifically around like popular diets, and they would have a celebrity endorsement and being like, maybe it was like, I remember seeing Oprah, I remember seeing Jennifer Aniston, I remember seeing Kirstie Alley, R.I.P. And I remember seeing like their before and then their after.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, wow. So I'm sure
Jessica
if other
Simpson.
people are seeing that. Yeah. Right. And it's like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it too.
The results, because they saw results and you want results. Kirstie Alley and Oprah, I remember it being Slim Fast Shake. I know for sure Oprah lost a lot of weight in the 90s on the Slim Fast Shake. I think Kirstie did something of it and then she went to Weight Watchers.
Mm-hmm.
And Jessica Simpson was also a big Weight Watchers spokesperson. However, in her autobiography, because I'm into autobiographies lately, she basically said that she was on a lot of diet pills for most of her life. And they had like a speed amphetamine like effect that she could drink all the time, be awake all the time, never eat anything. And
oh my God.
I mean, in her drinking days, she got quite bloated. But before that, in her newlywed days, when she was really hot on the pop scene, she was always on diet pills. And that's why she would get skinny. So when I see her in pictures today and she's like, people are so concerned about her weight and stuff, I'm like, she's just doing what she used to do. She's on whatever new diet thing is happening, whatever restrictive diet thing is happening. So yes, I don't believe that.
And she's also had like 3 kids. So like, relax, people.
But you wouldn't think that by seeing her though, because she's smaller than her eldest daughter. So it's like, girl, I know you're on Ozempic, so stop.
Mm-hmm.
Not.
I remember I remember being in the car and like seeing the Weight Watchers buildings.
Ooh. Oh,
And I
okay.
think, and I think they had like they had a fitness center in there, I think, and then I think they
Oh,
had different. Did they, or am I making that up? They had different
I don't
like
know.
people like come out and we'll we'll tell you all about it and everything. I
Oh.
remember seeing that, and I just remember seeing the celebrity endorsements.
I can't say if that was a real thing or not. I definitely remember it was all about points. So it was just another way of doing restrictive eating, but in a way that was healthy, being like, you're going to eat this and that's like real life, but it has this many points. You have this many points for the day. How you choose to allot your points is up to you. I never did it, but I knew I had a friend or a friend's sister that was doing it. There were meals you could purchase. I definitely purchased meals before. It wasn't for Weight Watchers. It was some other thing when I was in my 20s or something, like $300 down the drain. The food was disgusting. I ate like one and then I just didn't eat anything else after that. I didn't eat anything.
Oh my gosh.
Where it's like, oh, if I get these pre-created meals with a certain amount of calories, then I don't have to worry about thinking this through, but a waste of money.
Jeez.
Jennifer Aniston.
But I feel like now it's changed. Like now there's like keto.
Yeah.
There's plant-based, there's vegan, gluten-free, Mediterranean diet.
Paleo, intermittent fasting, low carb, Whole30, flexitarian, planetarian. That's not a real one. The newest one is the Ozempic, which is the injection of the semaglutide that helps like regulate your blood sugar by releasing more insulin and keeping food in your stomach for longer, so that you stay fuller for a longer period of time, and then you end up eating less.
But like, is that healthy?
I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to say I can't say whether or not it's healthy. I don't think it's healthy for those women that are already skinny that are using it to get skinnier. I think for those that have struggles, those who have diabetes, like type 2 diabetes, or those who maybe have like PCOS where weight loss is a struggle, that it helps them. But again, it has to be managed because there are downsides. Lisa Marie Presley, who recently passed away, who was very slim, by the way. I didn't even know she had gastric sleeve surgery or some kind of surgery of like stomach stapling, stomach condensing.
Wow.
Died from, she did that surgery. She was on Ozempic and she had an intestinal blockage. What? Like
Jeez.
those things are unnecessary to me. Celebrities who are really skinny right now, Mindy Kaling, who got skinny over a period of like 2 years, and she's like, I'm the healthiest I've ever been. And you look at her in the pictures and I'm like, girl, your hair is very thin, which means that something is not right. Like you are nutrient deficient. I just eat small bites of the things I love. Well, lies.
It's like, okay. Yeah, okay. But like, don't tell people that, because you're a public figure and people are looking up to you and they're like, well, then I'll do that. If she's doing that, I can do that. It's like, no, don't say that.
The reality is she's not being honest about what she's doing. So I'm like, people are going to do what they want to do. Yeah. Well, that's the problem. It's like people are going to do what they want to do anyway. So I'm not knocking Ozempic as like somebody's solution. I'm not. But don't lie to me about it. Like all of a sudden you've now figured out the whole way of like getting in tune with your body and meditating and sitting in the sun. And now all of a sudden you're like a skinny bitch. Like stop.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I read online that the average adult will try about 126 different diets in their lifetime.
Ooh.
Are you kidding? That's a lot.
That is so much. I'm trying to think about how many diets I've done in my life. So I bought the meals. That's one. When I was super restrictive with my diet, I basically brought my sugar count down to 0, but I wasn't monitoring it or anything, but I wouldn't eat anything with sugar. I stopped eating bread, like all of that. That didn't have a name at the time. I've done keto. I've definitely done intermittent fasting. I would say I've been doing that my whole life though, because I was never a breakfast person. So I never ate breakfast really. What else have I done? I done Atkins before keto was a thing.
Oh, and that, I think that was the first, was that the first diet that came out, or like one of the most popular ones?
No, there was a Zone, which is Jennifer Aniston's diet, which is the Zone is like what probably would people call now be like, I forget what it's called, but it's like how many macros do you eat a day? The breakdown of like protein versus vegetable or carbohydrate versus fats. So it was another version of keto and macros, but just called something different. I never did that.
And you know what? I don't know, irks me. It's that all these celebrities are all in all these diets, or they have their private chefs making, their well-balanced meals.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, just do it. Like, you can do it. Anyone can do it. It's like, no, bitch. Everyone has 9-to-5 jobs, or they have jobs and they got other shit and they got responsibilities and they got to go grocery shopping and they have to cook. Like, it's not as easy as you're like saying it is.
I did try vegan for a little bit. I just got a vegan delivery service, but I'd be shitting myself multiple times a day. I could not sustain that.
It's all coming out.
Exactly. But thank God I was working remote. But literally, like, I'm like, who goes to the bathroom 4 times a day?
Truly.
I couldn't.
Which one do you think? Because out of all the ones you've tried, which one do you think was your favorite? And you don't have to be on it right now, but which one did you did you not like any of them?
Well, I haven't named them all. I think I definitely tried Slim Fast for a little bit. Eventually just drinking like a powdery shake got to me. There was one that I did for a little bit where it was called, I think, the Shangri-La diet, where it was based on this study this guy did with himself of being like, if I eat something really sugary, he was in Europe or something, it's like, and I drink a soda every day, for some reason I wouldn't have any appetite to eat anything else for the rest of the day, and I lost all this weight and I was walking. So it was this thing of like a tablespoon or 2 teaspoons of sugar in a glass of water in the morning, and allegedly that would cause you to basically not have an appetite all day. And I did that, I don't know how many weeks I did that for. And I don't remember if it worked. This was when I was still living at home. So I was like this maybe university age or something. It was a book that my mom or dad had in the house. That's how I found it. And I don't even know how they got it because they're not diet people. And then how many other ones have I tried? I want to say I'll try everything once, but that's not true. I was vegetarian for a while.
Oh, good for you. That's
when I first moved out and I was cooking for myself. I was like, I don't really want to cook a lot of meat, so I would just not cook meat. I still struggle.
When you were talking about the sugar one and putting it into the water, the thing that I thought of was like, remember, I think it was like a documentary or a movie too, and it was like about the McDonald's, how the guy went to McDonald's every day for like 30 days or something for all of his meals. Don't you remember that? I forget what it was called though.
Yeah, it's called like Super Size Me. But he got fatter and more unhealthy.
Yes.
It's not like Jared from Subway who would eat Subway every day and lost all that weight. Remember that? And then remember when he turned out to be a pedophile and now he's in prison? Yeah, fun.
Yikes. But so there's a lot of diets you can do if you choose to. But if you don't, I think there are a lot of vitamins out there as well to kind of help you get different nutrients.
Sure. I think the appropriate approach to living healthfully is being mindful of what we're putting in our body and not being mindful of what we're restricting from our body. So you're touching on like, what are some better, more holistic ways of getting the ultimate results? Is just like feeling comfortable with our bodies, having a level of contentment, being healthy as per like, our physical blood tests and, our doctor's visits and stuff. So we've talked about having a balanced nutrition. Nowadays, I think most health plans have like nutrition or dietitian covered under it. I think those are things that people can probably take advantage of. You said a good point of like watching what you eat. So like portion control is a big one. Getting exercise is another one. And that can just look like, it's like, just go outside and take a walk, right? Like,
get some fresh air.
Get some fresh air. That's good. Drinking water, which I'm bad at. Put down the Coke and pick up the tumbler of water like Sarah does. Try and manage stress. Good luck with that. Getting enough sleep.
I was just going to say, and getting enough sleep.
Not having enough sleep will destroy your metabolism just as bad as eating unhealthy. And I think when we had the importance of sleep episode, I said, like, I should also be mindful of like working out and eating right. I go, but I'm prioritizing sleep right now because I'm not getting enough and it's doing more damage to me. But to your earlier point, these things should be supplemented with vitamins, minerals, and all those other kind of essential amino acids that we're not getting from a regular diet. And those things can help in a lot of ways to help regulate yourself and help with anxiety and depression and racing thoughts and insomnia, all things that I've been suffering from. And I'm not on any pharmaceuticals in any capacity, but I've started more diligently taking supplements at night to combat those things so that I can get enough sleep at night and I don't have racing thoughts.
Whatever works, right? Whatever helps.
Yeah. That's where I spend all my money.
That's funny. I just use vitamins to boost my immune system because I don't want to get sick.
You should definitely do it for other things too.
I should.
You should have a B complex, especially for women who have that postpartum hair loss. They don't talk, this is another episode, but they don't talk enough about how basically everything can fall out of you after you have a baby. Like your uterus can fall out, your bladder can fall out, your hair falls out, your teeth can fall out. At this point, your nipples can fall off. Like you stand the chance of losing everything after giving birth.
Yeah, it's really fun bringing life into this world. It's so much fun.
And if you're breastfeeding, you have to also be aware of what you're eating for the sake of the child.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can't eat a whole bunch of things because the baby will explode from like acid or gas or something. It's just like,
and you have to drink like enough water, and you have to like can't be very aware of your alcohol if you're going to drink alcohol, and be aware of your caffeine intake. Oh, so there's so much. So
this wasn't to overwhelm anybody, but the best way to get towards a goal is to just make small changes in, longer periods of time, because we're just trying to get to a healthy point in our lives and live the longest, best life that we can. For some people are like, I don't want to live long. Okay. I totally get that too. If you want to live wildly and like enjoy every moment and smoke a pack of cigarettes and die at early age, I'm not against that either. But for those that just want to stay a little bit longer, it's making small changes and using your resources as best you can.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And just trying to feel comfortable in your skin, because things are going to change as you get older. Your body changes, whether you like it or not, usually. So just try to feel comfortable in your skin.
Yeah, because I think that's probably the hardest part, is getting comfortable with changes in your body, whether getting older or gaining weight. So it becomes more important. Find activities that help you feel better about yourself so that you can get comfortable with the other changes, or maybe even distract yourself from the other changes. Really, I don't know what the answer is, but just pick up a good habit so that you're not picking up bad habits. And that doesn't mean go out and have margaritas every day.
Yeah, too bad.
I know. I mean, it doesn't hurt, but it's it's a bit of a coping mechanism. Anything else that you wanted to add? I think we shoved a lot of information into this episode.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. People need to digest it and figure out what they want to do in their lives.
I will add one thing, is that we just came out of Thanksgiving, so I think diet has just been top of our minds because we've just stuffed ourselves with turkey. And it is so common for us to be like, I'll go back on my diet tomorrow. And we're going to come into that season because US Thanksgiving is coming up and then Christmas. And we're going to be faced with the same bad mindset or negative self-talk where it'll be like, oh, I'm going to eat well. I'm going to be good. I'm not going to indulge. It's just balance. It's just trying to have a balance. Don't deprive yourself so much of something so that when you have the chance to smell it or taste it, you binge, right? Like you shouldn't be doing that, so that you can have these moments where you have a little bit extra on Thanksgiving, you have a dessert because you haven't had one, and then feel okay about returning to your regular habits the next day. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I know we are going into a really overeating season coming up. Like you said, we got Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving, US Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve, all the holiday parties and everything in between. And then people, because they ate and overate so much during that time, what do? Oh, my New Year's resolution is to go on this diet. That's right. And that's where the money comes in. Like that's why it's such a $33 billion industry. It's just a never ending cycle. Yeah. Absolutely. And bad food tastes so good. I know. Right? Especially at night, like late at night. Midnight snack. Yum. Or coming home drunk. Yum. Yeah.
It's true. Well, I think that's it. Do you want to wrap up, Krista?
Yeah. So as always, we love hearing from our listeners and getting their feedback. Please feel free to leave comments, answer our questions and polls. We put some great ones at the end of every episode. Follow us on all the socials. We have really great content on there. In every episode description, we put links to all of our social media channels to make it easy for you to follow. Please, if you like the episode, give us a follow, give us a rating as always, and make sure you don't miss another episode. Hit that bell icon in our Spotify account. Then you'll always know when there's a new episode up and running. We have a new episode coming up like every couple days, I feel like.
Truly.
Yeah. So, as always, we wish you guys best of luck. We'll see you next week, Sarah. And until then, bye.
Bye.